ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जायमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। नमो पंकजनाभाय नमो पंकजमालिने नमो पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजांग्रये। Hare Krishna. Welcome all of you all for a SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM chapter wise overview series. So today we are going to discuss the 13th chapter of the first canto entitled Dhritarashtra Quits Home. So just a quick recap of what we did in the 12th chapter. So the 12th chapter was the birth of Emperor Parikshit, King Parikshit, and we saw in that chapter how did that chapter begin with Shaunaka Rishi is asking questions regarding Parikshit. And what was the question? Anyone remembers? The previous chapter, beginning, how does it start? How Parikshit was born, his activities, and how did he depart. So basically they had asked this question at the 4th chapter because Sutta Goswami got carried away with so many other chapters, they are reminding him again. So we saw in the previous chapter how the rule of Yudhishthir is explained and how finally Parikshit Maharaj takes birth at a very auspicious time. And when Parikshit is born, Jata Karma is performed by Kripacharya Dhaumya. At that time, Yudhishthir Maharaj is asking the Brahmanas, please tell the qualities of this child, whether this child will be a devotee of Krishna. And a lot of verses, 16 to 29 verses, they explain the qualities of Parikshit. If you remember that whole section, they say that he will be like Lord Ram in truthfulness, he will be like Shri Maharaj, he'll be like King Yayati, and so many ways they glorify King Parikshit. And then how Yudhishthir finally performs 3 Ashwamedha Yajna, because Yudhishthir was feeling that I am very sinful, I am the reason for this war. So Yudhishthir performs 3 Ashwamedha Yajna by the mercy of Lord Krishna. And when Yudhishthir had to perform this Ashwamedha Yajna, where do they get wealth from? From the Himalayas north. And who was that king who left that wealth? King Maruta. Okay, that was the previous chapter. So now this chapter is entitled Dhritarashtra Quits Home. So now the previous chapter, the birth of Parikshit is explained. So in the previous chapter they asked 3 things about Parikshit: birth, activities, and how did he die. Now birth is explained. Now in order to explain the activities of Parikshit Maharaj has to become the king. Right now who is the king? The Pandavas, Yudhishthira is the king. So this chapter, chapter 13, is how Dhritarashtra leaves home and goes. How Vidura brings Vairagya in the heart of Dhritarashtra. The next chapter, Lord Krishna winds up his pastime. After that, the 15th chapter, we will see Pandavas also go to the Himalayas. And before going to the Himalayas, they make Parikshit as the king. So that's how Sutta Goswami builds the subject matter. And then after that we will see as the king how does Parikshit rule, and towards the end the last two chapters are how Parikshit is cursed by this Brahmana boy and how he meets Shukadeva Goswami. That's how the rest of the chapters follow. So this particular chapter is a little long chapter. How many verses this chapter has? 60 verses. So basically, I'll just do like a quick overview of this chapter and then we will get into each of the verses. So basically, this chapter begins with Vidura coming to Hastinapur from his pilgrimage. So Vidura had been hurt very badly by Duryodhan. Duryodhan used a lot of abusive words against Vidura. So Vidura just left everything and went. And then now he comes back. Why does he come back? The only reason he comes back is to deliver Dhritarashtra. So when Vidura comes back, how all the residents of Hastinapur, especially Yudhishthira and others, they receive Vidura is the first section, verse number 1 to 7. Then 8 to 13 is the conversation between Yudhishthira and Vidura. So basically Yudhishthira is asking Vidura, my dear uncle, you have visited so many holy places. What was your experience there? How did you survive in all these places? How did you eat? Like that. And Vidura shares his experiences a little. Then the 14 to 17, Vidura's real purpose of coming back is to deliver Dhritarashtra. And then this section, which is like the most important section of this chapter, 18 to 28, Vidura is chastising Dhritarashtra very heavily. And this section is not only chastisement for Dhritarashtra, it's a very powerful instruction on time, on detachment for all of us. In fact, we will see in this chapter, as Vidura is speaking to Dhritarashtra, all the people of Hastinapur, especially Yudhishthira, Pandavas, everyone, they all sit to hear Vidura's discourse. Because this discourse is something that's very important, how temporary this world is and how we have to be very focused on attaining Krishna in this life. So this is a very beautiful section of this particular chapter, Vidura chastising Dhritarashtra. And after Vidura chastises Dhritarashtra so much, finally Dhritarashtra agrees to leave home. So many people try to convince Dhritarashtra. Krishna, Vyasdev, Bhishmadev, so many people try to bring Vairagya, but no one could do it. Vidura could do it. Vidura pulled Dhritarashtra away and Gandhari, Dhritarashtra, they all go towards the north, towards the Himalayas. So when they all leave, the final section is Yudhishthira is feeling very, very bad. Because Yudhishthira, he is such a soft-hearted person. He is feeling that probably I have hurt my uncle in such a way, I might have done something wrong. Probably because of that he is gone. So that time Narad Muni comes and tells Yudhishthira, don't worry, he had to go. You don't worry about Dhritarashtra. Because Yudhishthira was very worried, he is such an old person, how will he survive? Narad Muni tells him, don't worry, Krishna will take care. Now you take care of yourself. And Narad Muni tells him, when Lord Krishna departs, you also wind up your pastime and go. So that's how this chapter ends, 60 verses. So we'll begin text 1. Suta uvacha Vidurastirtha yatrayam Maitreyat atmanogatim Gyatva gadhastinapuram Tvaya vyapta vivitsita. So Suta Goswami explains, while Vidura was traveling on pilgrimage, so the story is of Vidura is Prabhupada explains in the purport a little about Vidura. So basically Vidura has been chastised very heavily by Duryodhan. So Vidura feels very bad. But Vidura also takes it as Krishna's mercy. So we have been discussing this many times in this Bhagavatam series that for devotees of Krishna, whether it is the Pandavas, whether it is Vidura, there may be problems that may come. But these devotees, they take everything as Krishna's mercy to go closer to Krishna. So Vidura thought, Duryodhan is my well-wisher. Because Duryodhan chastised me and he is telling me, get out of this palace. Vidura feels very good. All this while I wanted to go for Tirth Yatra, till now I couldn't go. Vidura goes for Tirth Yatra. He goes everywhere. And then he meets Maitreya. This section comes ahead in the cantos ahead on the Bhagavatam. Vidura has a deep discussion with Maitreya Rishi. And after being satisfied and after learning all that knowledge, Vidura comes back to Hastinapur only to deliver Dhritarashtra. So in the purport, Prabhupada explains in brief the life of Vidura. So Vidura is one of the very prominent personality of Mahabharata. So we all know that when so basically the story of Mahabharata is Shantanu Maharaj was married to Ganga, and from Shantanu and Ganga Bhishma Dev was born. But Bhishma Dev had taken a vow that he will not get married, he will not sit on the throne. So Shantanu Maharaj got again married to Satyavati, and through Satyavati Chitrangada, Vichitravirya, two sons were born. Chitrangada also died. So now Vichitravirya, Bhishma Dev got three girls to get married to Vichitravirya: Amba, Ambika and Ambalika. So Amba said, I don't want to get married to him, I already have some other lover. She went away. So these two girls, Ambika and Ambalika, are married to Vichitravirya. Vichitravirya also dies and goes. So there's no one to sit on the throne now. Bhishma can't sit, there's no one else, there's no other male at all. So that time Vyasdev is called. So Vyasdev, through Ambika and Ambalika, he begets Dhritarashtra and Pandu. And when Vyasdev is called for the third time, these two ladies, they don't want to unite with Vyasdev. They send one Shudrani, one of their servants, and through their union, Vidura is born. Right? So that's the story that Prabhupada mentions here. But actually something very interesting, Vidura is an incarnation of Yamaraj. That story Prabhupada mentions here. The story is like this. One time, there was a group of thieves who were running and police were going to catch them. And these thieves hid in an ashram of a rishi called Manduka Rishi. These thieves hid there. So finally the police caught these thieves, and they also thought that Manduka Rishi is part of this conspiracy. So they caught Manduka Rishi also. And they took Manduka Rishi and they were about to pierce him with a lance and kill him. So that time the king of that kingdom comes to know that these my police people, my soldiers are creating a big aparad. So he comes and tells, don't do this. So Manduka Rishi is not killed. Manduka Rishi goes straight to Yamalok to meet Yamaraj. And he's asking Yamaraj, what did I do? What did I do wrong that I was supposed to be killed like this with a spear? So Yamaraj says, when you were a small child, you killed one ant with a straw. So therefore you are supposed to be killed like this. So Manduka Rishi says, small children are ignorant, they don't know what is right, what is wrong. So I did this when I was a small child, now you are giving this punishment, you are not intelligent. Manduka Rishi curses Yamaraj that you will go to earth and become a Shudra for 100 years. And that Yamaraji comes in the form of Vidura. So Yamaraji is highly intelligent. So Vidura is also highly intelligent. Prabhupada explains ahead in the purports. Very interesting purport Prabhupada gives ahead. You know what? See, Yamaraj, who is Yamaraj? Yamaraj is a devotee of Krishna. One of the 12 Mahajans, one of the 12 greatest devotee, one of that is Yamaraj. And what is Yamaraj's role? Prabhupada mentions in the purport ahead, but I am telling you now. What is Yamaraj's role? To give punishment to people. I mean, you imagine this. You are a Vaishnava and you have to give punishment to people. And Prabhupada mentions in this world, there are more sinful people than pious people. That means Yamaraj has over duty. So day and night he has to see sinful guys, send them to hell, give them suffering. He's like fed up. So when Manduka Rishi curses him, become a Shudra and go to earth, Yamaraj is like in ecstasy. And Yamaraj feels, now I can actually go and preach pure Krishna consciousness. So that was the life of Vidura, a great personality Yamaraj. And then Prabhupada mentions here, even though Vidura was technically born from a Shudra lady, he couldn't inherit the kingdom. But still Bhishma Dev, Dhritarashtra, they took good care of Vidura. And Vidura had great love for his foolish brother Dhritarashtra. So in this entire chapter, we will see Dhritarashtra, he didn't have any good qualities. Absolutely dumb, absolutely unfit for spiritual life to get the mercy of the Lord. He had only one good quality. And Prabhupada emphasizes that in so many places. And what was that good quality? He somehow became dear to a Mahatma like Vidura. That's the only reason he got finally liberated in some way. So therefore, this is the key. Some way or the other, if you are connected to devotees, then a liberation is guaranteed. So this is how Vidura is being insulted finally by Duryodhana, because Vidura was giving constant good advice to Dhritarashtra. But Dhritarashtra was not ready to listen. Vidura was trying to advise Duryodhana. Duryodhana was not ready to listen. And at one point, Duryodhana badly insults Vidura, and Vidura just leaves Hastinapur and goes. Text 2. Yavata kritavan prashnan shatta kosha vagagrita jataika bhaktir govinde tevyas choparamaraha. So when Vidura goes on his pilgrimage, he meets Maitreya Rishi. I think probably the conversation between Vidura and Maitreya happened in Haridwar. So that's the conversation, the place of the conversation. And Vidura is asking a lot of questions to Maitreya Rishi. And after asking many questions, see, Vidura himself is a great personality. He is very dear to Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna would love him so much. Still, when Vidura is meeting a great sage, he is asking questions as if he doesn't know anything. So Bhagavatam teaches us that when we are in front of great personalities, or whenever we get a chance to hear Bhagavatam or scripture, we should hear it as if we are hearing it the first time. We should go as a fresh, as an empty glass. So Vidura is so eager to hear about Lord Krishna, and he is asking questions to Maitreya. And after he is asking all the questions, when he hears the conclusion, he asks many questions to Maitreya, but Vidura becomes satisfied when the conclusion of all knowledge is attained. And what was the conclusion? Jataika bhaktir govinde. So this is the essence. After asking so many questions and receiving so much knowledge, what is the conclusion? Jataika bhaktir govinde. Ek bhaktir govinde. That means the conclusion of all scriptures is one-pointed devotion to Krishna. We were discussing this yesterday in Shravanotsav. Tasmad ekena manasah. One-pointed focus. So the conclusion Prabhupada mentions here, ultimately we are all looking for satisfaction in life. How will satisfaction come? When we ask questions related to the absolute. Yesterday we were discussing this point. Jivasya tattva jigyasa. Life is meant to ask questions. So when we seek answers, or when we seek to learn about the absolute truth, we will come to the conclusion that Krishna is that absolute truth. Jatek bhaktir govinde. Krishna is that absolute truth. And when we attain faith in the process of bhakti, that means we have come to the conclusion of all questions and answers. That's that essence that Prabhupada is mentioning here. This is the point. We all have to question till we come to the point of attaining Krishna or attaining conviction in bhakti to Krishna. And then Prabhupada mentions here, Vidura, like an inquisitive conditioned soul, approached Maitreya Rishi, his spiritual master, and asked questions. So Prabhupada mentions here, Guru is not for fashion. It's not that, I have this, I have a bungalow, I have a car, I have a guru also in my life. So Prabhupada is saying here, one should not accept a guru until you are ready to follow what that guru says, until you are serious about spiritual life. That's the idea. So Vidura was successful in approaching the guru, his Maitreya Rishi, because he got the ultimate goal of life. Prabhupada mentions here, the last sentence. Vidura was successful in approaching such a spiritual master like Maitreya, and he got the goal of life. And what is the goal of life? Bhakti unto Govinda. That's the essence, right? Jataik bhaktir govinde. What is the goal of life? Bhakti to Govinda. Thus, there is nothing further to be known about spiritual progress. When you reach that conclusion, beyond that, there is no question to be asked. After that, you have to just follow. Right? You have to ask questions till you come to this point of conviction that my goal of life is to serve Krishna. After that, no questions, just follow. Just follow the process of bhakti. So Vidura was very satisfied. And now Vidura is returning back to Hastinapur. And how the residents of Hastinapur received Vidura. So through this we can understand how much respect Vidura commanded in Hastinapur. How much respect this person commanded. Even though Vidura was born in a Shudra family, even though Vidura didn't have any post, what was his post in Hastinapur? Nothing. His birth was not great, his post was not great, right? Still, Vidura had such respect. All the residents of Hastinapur are so happy to receive Vidura. Text 3 and 4. Tam bandhum agatam drishtva dharmaputra sahanuja datarashtro yuyutsuscha shuta saradvata prita Gandhari Draupadi Brahman Subhadra Chottara Kripi Anyascha Jamaya Pando Gyataya Swastuta Striya. So when they saw Vidura, all the inhabitants, Yudhishthir, his younger brothers, Dhritarashtra, Satyaki, Sanjaya, Kripacharya, Kunti, Gandhari, Draupadi, Subhadra, Uttara, Kripi, the many wives of the Kauravas, the ladies with the children, all hurried in great delight. So when they saw Vidura, they all ran. And how did it appear? It appeared that they had gained their life after a very long time. They had gained their consciousness after a very long period. So that was the kind of love and respect Vidura commanded. And the list of personalities here are the only list of people who are left in the family. This is after the war. The entire Kurukul is almost destroyed. So these are the only set of people. And therefore you see the wives of Kauravas, because all the men are dead, only the wives remain here. So Prabhupada in the purport mentions something about Gandhari, something about Kunti, something about Draupadi, and something about Subhadra. Right? So we saw in the previous chapter, Prabhupada is like such a beautiful presenter. Anytime a new name is introduced, so Prabhupada is giving a history of that person in such a beautiful way. So Prabhupada mentions about Gandhari. So I'll just touch upon all these personalities that Prabhupada mentions here. Gandhari is one of the chaste ladies in this world. When you think about the chaste Pativrata Stri, Gandhari's name comes in front. Right? Gandhari, Mandodari, Sita, like that. So Gandhari was the daughter of King of Kandahar. That means now the present time Afghanistan. So basically she was from Afghanistan. The King of Kandahar, Maharaj Subala. And she used to worship Lord Shiva. So generally girls worship Lord Shiva to get a husband. And Lord Shiva was very pleased. And Lord Shiva told Gandhari that you will become the mother of 100 sons. And Gandhari was very, very happy. Chaitanya Bhagavat explains something very interesting. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a small child as Nimai Pandit, so Mahaprabhu would go to the Ganga. He would play in Ganga in Navadvip. And there would be ladies, young girls who would come and worship Ganga, do puja. Because young girls, in future they want like a good husband. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Nimai Pandit, he would go and eat all their offerings. And when the girls wouldn't give, Mahaprabhu would tell them, I curse you all that you all will be married to an old person. And when they would give their offering, Mahaprabhu would say, I bless you all that you will be married to a very nice person and you will have 100 children. So like that. So Gandhari was blessed to have 100 children. So we know that when Bhishma Dev, he didn't get married, but Bhishma Dev arranged marriage for his brothers also and for the brothers' sons also. So now when Dhritarashtra was supposed to get married, so Bhishma Dev goes and does the match and Gandhari is bought. So it is explained that Gandhari, in those days, she was the most beautiful girl in the entire world. Very, very beautiful. But when she came to know that her to-be husband is blind, she also voluntarily agreed to close her eyes. And she got married under the guidance of her brother, Shakuni. But Prabhupada mentions here, even though she had a lot of good qualities, even though she was very chaste, she blindfolded her, I mean, she worshipped Shiva and everything. But due to a natural womanly nature, she became very envious of Kunti. Because after Gandhari, Pandu was married to Kunti. So what happened was, being married to Dhritarashtra, her hope was that she will give birth to children first. But it so happened that Kunti gave birth to Yudhishthir first. And Gandhari at that time, she was already pregnant. She became so angry, so envious that she hit her womb. And that blow was so powerful that what came out was a dead lump of flesh. And Gandhari was, crying that what did I do? So that time Vyasdev comes there, and Vyasdev divides that lump of flesh into 100 parts, puts it into 100 ghee pots, and from there 100 children come. Probably this is like the original test tube babies or whatever, right? The original system. So Vyasdev did that, right? And then Prabhupada mentions here that when, in fact, Gandhari, she would tell Dhritarashtra many times, let's not get into the fight. Prabhupada mentions here, she would tell Dhritarashtra that let's avoid the war, let's divide the kingdom into 2 parts, give it to Yudhishthir, let's not get into this. But Dhritarashtra didn't hear. And then finally, when all her 100 children were killed in the war, she became very badly affected. She was deeply hurt. So that time, Lord Krishna tried to pacify Gandhari. And then finally, we will see in this chapter, Gandhari finally, along with Dhritarashtra, she goes to the Himalayas, and then she leaves her body from there and attains liberation. So the next Srila Prabhupada mentions is about Pritha or Kunti Maharani. So Kunti, she was the daughter of Maharaj Surasen, and she was the sister of Vasudev, Krishna's father. But Maharaj Surasen gave this child, Pritha, her original name was Pritha, he gave this child to his friend Maharaj Kunti Bhoj to be raised by him. So therefore, this child Pritha was also called as Kunti, the daughter of Kunti Bhoj. She was the incarnation of success personified. And it is said that Maharaj Kunti Bhoj was so famous that even demigods used to visit the palace of Kunti Bhoj. So one time, Durvasa Muni comes there, and Kunti was a maiden young girl. So she pleased Durvasa by her hospitality. And Durvasa Muni blessed her that she could call any demigod. She could just summon any demigod. So this child Pritha, she just tried. She saw the sun god and she said, okay, let me try. And actually the sun god came. And the sun god told her that I have come, my visit can't go in vain, so I will give you a child. Pritha said, what do you mean? I don't want a child. The sun god said, don't worry, you will have a child, but you will still remain virgin. And Karna was born. So this girl, she didn't know what to do. So she just left Karna in the river to be taken care by one chariot driver. So in this way, and finally, when it was time for her marriage, Bhishma Dev chose Kunti Pritha to be married to Pandu. And Pandu was also married to another girl from Madras called Madri. Right? And then the story goes ahead that Pandu is also cursed that he cannot unite with any of his wives, otherwise he would die. And he comes to know that Kunti had this benediction. So he tells Kunti that we need children to continue the dynasty, so you please call the demigods. So Kunti calls Yamaraj, Yudhishthir is born, Indra, Arjuna is born, Vayu, Bhima is born, like that. And then finally, one time Pandu Maharaj is trying to unite with Madri, and then he dies. So Madri also enters into Sati, and then Kunti comes back with his 5 children. And when she comes back, that's where the whole politics starts. Right? The whole conspiracy starts. Because Dhritarashtra, all this while he was waiting, he thought Pandu is dead. So he thought probably the children also dead. Now the children come. So Dhritarashtra, right from their childhood, they have been tried to kill in so many different ways. Right? So this is the story of Mahabharata. And Kunti, she had to face so much. When we were discussing the prayers of Queen Kunti, Prabhupada mentioned there that the struggles of Kunti were double. When the children were small also she suffered, and when the children grew up also she suffered. So her life was basically a life of suffering only. But we see in the prayers of Queen Kunti, even if after all the suffering, she never got negative. She was very, very grateful to Krishna. And then Prabhupada mentions that whole story of how by Kunti's blessings, these Pandavas get married to Draupadi and all that. Okay? So I think this is how the section of Kunti ends. In fact, it is explained that when Gandhari and Dhritarashtra go with Vidura, Kunti also goes with them. And Kunti also passes her life, she passes away in the Himalayas. So the next personality that Prabhupada mentions is about Draupadi, the most chaste daughter of Maharaj Drupad. And she is the incarnation of goddess Sachi, the wife of Indra. So, to make the long story short, so we know that Drupad and Dronacharya, they were childhood friends but became bitter enemies later. So, Dronacharya, for his Guru Dakshina, he told the Pandavas and the Kauravas that bring Drupad alive. So the Pandavas did that. And Drupad was badly insulted. So Drupad wanted to take revenge. So Drupad Maharaj performed a yajna. And the only purpose of the yajna was he wanted a son who will kill Dronacharya. And who was that son? Drishtadyumna. And in that same yajna, a daughter also was born. And when the daughter was born, the announcement was made that this child, this daughter, she will be the cause of the death of so many unwanted Kshatriyas. So the Mahabharat war entirely revolves around Draupadi only. It revolves around Draupadi, that's it. And Prabhupada mentions here, she married the five Pandavas, and through each of them she got a son. From Yudhishthir Maharaj, they got a son called Pratibit. From Bhima, she got a son called Sutosama. From Arjuna, Shutakirti. From Nakula, Shatanika. And from Sahadev, Shutakarma. Draupadi's another name was Krishna. And in fact, the reason she married five Pandavas is because she also prayed to Lord Shiva. And when she prayed to Lord Shiva and when Shiva came in front of her, she said she was so much eager to get her husband. She said 5 times, I want husband, I want husband, I want husband, I want husband. Shiva said okay. So she had 5 husbands. That's the idea, right? And then the story Prabhupada mentions ahead is Dushasan tried to disrobe Draupadi, and that became the tipping point of the entire war. So that's about Draupadi. Okay? The next personality Prabhupada mentions is about Subhadra. Subhadra is the daughter of Vasudeva and the sister of Lord Krishna and Balaram. And she was a very dear daughter. She was not only a very dear daughter of Vasudeva, she was a very dear sister of both Krishna and Balaram. And Prabhupada mentions both these brothers and sister are represented in Jagannath Puri, Krishna, Balaram, Subhadra, right? And devotees still visit, right? So basically, one time Arjuna goes to Dwarka, and there he sees Subhadra, and Arjuna is very captivated by the beauty of Subhadra. So that around the same time, Balaramji was trying to arrange the marriage of Subhadra with Duryodhana. So Arjuna tells Krishna, I want to marry your sister. Krishna says, okay, kidnap Subhadra and go. Because Krishna also did that, no? So Krishna can give advice. He also did that for Rukmini. So Krishna said, kidnap. So Arjuna kidnapped Subhadra. And Subhadra was duly married to Arjuna, and from them Abhimanyu was born. And then when Abhimanyu died in the war, Subhadra was very disheartened. So that time Lord Krishna pacifies Subhadra. But then Prabhupada mentions on the birth of Parikshit, finally Subhadra is happy that someone is there in the line. So all these personalities come to meet Mahatma Vidura. Something interesting, there are so many personalities mentioned here. Prabhupada chooses to mention only the ladies. Only the ladies are mentioned here. Text 5. Pratyujagmu praharshena pranam tanva ivagatam abhisangamya vidvat parivaska bivadinai. So with great delight, they all approached him as if life had entered their bodies. That is the kind of love they had. and they all exchanged obeisances, embraced each other depending on what their age and what their relation was. So Prabhupada mentions here, this was the acute separation the residents of Hastinapura were feeling from Vidura, and when Vidura comes there, all of them became supremely joyful. Text 6. Mumuchu prema bhaspogam virahot kantaya katara rajatam harayam chakre kritasana parigraham. So they all cried due to affection, prema bhaspogam, due to anxieties and long separation. I mean, for us, we can have a little idea of what they were going through. The entire family has gone through a lot of issues, right? Lot of issues, lot of ups and downs, lot of fights, lot of misunderstandings. You know? Now the war, so many people killed. So even though, I mean, Yudhishthira has done Ashwamedh, everything is done, but that grief is not going to go away so soon. So when Vidura comes, when you have someone so close to you, as soon as you see him, naturally, you just want to cry. You just start to cry because there are so many emotions everyone is carrying. So it was a very emotional period where everyone is crying out of great affection and all their emotions that they are going through. They all reveal their heart to Mahatma Vidura. That time, Yudhishthira Maharaj offered a seat, offered accommodation for Vidura and a reception for Vidura. Because by this time Vidura, he's come here as a guest. He's come here as a guest. He doesn't have his own home now. He's left all that. Right? So he is come here as a Vanaprastha, as a retired person. So Yudhishthira arranges for his accommodation also. So this is the reality of life, where at one time where you are the host, at some time in that same place you will become a guest. That's how life is, right? So Vidura is now come here as a guest, and Yudhishthira arranges beautiful accommodation and reception for all of them. Text 7. Tam bhuktvantam vishrantam asinam sukam asane prashtaya vanato raja praha tesham cha shranvatam. So first, how one should receive a person? After Vidura came, Vidura was given a place to stay, sufficient rest. Vidura was given food to eat, all facilities taken care of. And after Vidura is sufficiently rested, he's eaten well, he's comfortably situated. Then Yudhishthira Maharaj begins to converse and speak with him. We'll find, so Prabhupada mentions here, King Yudhishthira was an expert not only in management and ruling, he was expert even in reception. He knew how to receive family members. And this is the arrangement, right? You arrange things for bathing, dinner, things like that. And we will see even Lord Krishna, when Rukmini had sent that letter to Lord Krishna through that Brahmana, if you read that particular chapter, Lord Krishna, he knows it's an urgency. Tomorrow morning Rukmini is going to get married to Shishupal. Lord Krishna knows that time is short. But still Lord Krishna receives the Brahmana, gives him a place to take rest, arranges for his bathing, arranges for his food. And when he's comfortably situated, Lord Krishna goes and asks him, why have you come? What's the purpose? Please tell me. So this is the process. So Prabhupada mentions here, this is reception according to Indian code, according to Vedic times. What to speak of a friend, family member, even if an enemy comes, you do this. And a family member like Vidura, so you will definitely do this. So Yudhishthira Maharaj, after Vidura is comfortably situated, and so now the conversation is between Yudhishthira, the next section, conversation between Yudhishthira and Vidura, but all the family members are also present. Yudhishthira, on behalf of all the family members, is speaking. Just like we are seeing in this canto, first canto, Shaunaka Rishi is asking questions, but he is asking questions on behalf of the 88,000 sages there. So similarly, Yudhishthira is asking questions, but all the family members are present. So what does Yudhishthira ask? Text 8. Yudhishthira uvacha api smartano yusmat pakshachaya sameditan vipadganad vishagyagner mochitayat samarthaka. So, before even asking anything, Yudhishthira is first thanking Vidura for all that he has done in their life. He is expressing his gratitude. So Yudhishthira Maharaj is showing us this very beautiful quality of being grateful. So he is telling, my dear uncle, do you remember how you always protected us and our mother from all sorts of calamities? And you have been like a mother for us. You have been like a bird with its wings always protecting us and showing partiality to us. Showing love to us. So Prabhupada mentions in the purport what I had already mentioned to you all. After Pandu's death at an early age, these children, the Pandavas, were especially well taken care of by two people. In the entire palace, there were only two people who were their well-wishers. One was Bhishma Dev and second was Vidura. And sometimes even more than Bhishma Dev, Vidura's role is all the more. Because Bhishma Dev had to side, with the Kauravas for some reason or the other. But Vidura never took side. So in the entire palace, Vidura's name was spoiled. As this fellow is partial to the Pandavas. And Vidura didn't mind it. Vidura said, whatever it is, I am this. So Prabhupada mentions here, Vidura was more or less partial to the Pandavas because of their political position. Although, he is supposed to be equal to both the parties because both Kauravas and Pandavas are his nephews only. But still, Vidura knew that the Pandavas needed more care. First of all, because they didn't have a father. And second, because Vidura could see all the ways in which they were supposed to be killed. Vidura could see that very clearly. And Vidura in every way tried to save them. If Vidura was not there, Yudhishthira wouldn't have been the king now. Right? So everyone, whoever we are, in whatever position we are now, someone or the other at some time in our life has taken care of us, has done something to protect us. Therefore we are now. So Yudhishthira, after becoming a king, he has not forgotten all the help that Vidura has done. So Prabhupada mentions here that Vidura didn't like Dhritarashtra, and Vidura told Dhritarashtra so many times that don't torture the Pandavas for your political ambition. But still Dhritarashtra didn't agree to it. Vidura was very careful in protecting them. And then Prabhupada gives one or two examples. Yesterday Atulnitai Prabhu in Shravanotsav was mentioning one of the incidences. When Dhritarashtra sent the Pandavas and Kunti to Varnavrat. Varnavrat was, he told them, go on a holiday. I made a beautiful house. But this whole house was made of a material that could be burnt easily, inflammable material. Wax, a kind of material. And Vidura knew this. So Vidura, he couldn't tell Yudhishthira directly. But this is called Kuta Shloka, hidden verse. He tells Yudhishthira, this comes in Adi Parva, 114 Shloka. A weapon not made of steel or any other material element can be more sharp to kill an enemy, and he who knows this can never be killed. He gives him this. And Kunti is thinking, what is this conversation going on? But Yudhishthira knew exactly what Vidura is telling. And it is explained, so they were sent to this Varnavrat. The plan was, there was one personality, one of the housekeeper, I think his name was Purochan. So it was decided on the 14th night of the waning moon is Shukla Paksha, right? Yeah, Krishna Paksha. 14th day of the Krishna Paksha, the house is going to get burnt. When Vidura came to know this, Vidura goes to that Varnavrata in a hidden, disguised form and gives that information to Yudhishthira. And Yudhishthira digs a tunnel and they come out. And when the house is burned, Dhritarashtra thinks that the Pandavas are dead. But Vidura was very happy because Vidura knew that the job is done. So in this way, this is just one incident that Prabhupada gives here. In so many ways, Vidura was always there to protect the Pandavas. So therefore, even though Vidura's name was spoiled in the entire Hastinapur, that this fellow is partial to the Pandavas, Vidura didn't mind. So therefore, Yudhishthira is so very grateful to Vidura. So after thanking and after expressing his gratitude to Vidura, he is asking about his travels. Text 9. Kaya vritya vartitam vash charadbi chiti mandalam tirtani kshetra mukyani sevitani bhutale. So Yudhishthira is very eager to understand, my dear Vidura, you were traveling the earth, how did you maintain yourself? Because Yudhishthira also has to learn this, because in future he has to follow the same path, na? Right? So he wants to learn that how Vidura, he maintained himself in all this period. Which all places that you visited and where all did you render service? So, I mean, just the questions of Yudhishthira, you can understand what is in the heart of Yudhishthira also. So Yudhishthira, even though he is a king, he is more interested in, in this life of renunciation. So he is asking Vidura. So Prabhupada mentions here, Vidura was, when he went off the palace, he was completely detached. Completely detached. He was not interested in politics at all. He was very happy to just walk off. And this stage is called the stage of Vanaprastha. And then finally Vidura takes sannyas and then he leaves. So Vanaprastha is a retired life where you move away from the issues in this world and you just go on pilgrimages. And which Prabhupada mentions Vrindavan, Haridwar, Jagannath Puri, Prayag. There are so many places. And then Prabhupada mentions here, you don't have to worry about your food. Because in all these holy places, there is something called Chatra, Annakshetra. Like you go to Udupi, prasad taken care of. I think yesterday, one of the days we were discussing this. When we were, the story of Madhavendra Puri. When Madhavendra Puri goes to Vrindavan, Krishna personally comes and gives milk to Madhavendra Puri. So in the purport, Prabhupada mentions there that holy places like these, you don't have to worry about your food at all. Krishna Radharani will arrange something. So Prabhupada mentions here, even now if you go, food is taken care of. Someone or the other will arrange. So in this way, Vidura is just visiting so many holy places very, very blissfully. Text 10. This is a very beautiful verse. Bhavat Vida Bhagavatas. The verse is here on the board. You all can repeat this verse. Bhavat Vida Bhagavatas. Tirtha Bhuta Swayam Vibho. Tirti Kurvanti Tirtani. Swantastena Gadabrata. We'll repeat it once again. Bhavat Vida Bhagavatas. Tirtha Bhuta Swayam Vibho. Tirti Kurvanti Tirtani. Swantastena Gadabrata. Beautiful verse. Yudhishthira, who is also an authority, is a Mahajan. He is glorifying another Mahajan, another Mahatma. One Mahatma glorifying another Mahatma. And he is telling Vidura, Bhavat Vida Bhagavatas. My dear Vidura, great personalities, Bhagavata. We were describing yesterday, there are two types of Bhagavat. One is book Bhagavat and a person Bhagavat. Vidura is also a Bhagavata. Bhavat Vida Bhagavatas. My dear Vidura, great personalities like you, Tirtha Bhuta Swayam Vibho. You, personalities like you, are holy places themselves. You are visiting holy places, but you are only a holy place. Why? Tirti Kurvanti Tirtani. Because pure devotees make the holy place a holy place. So Prabhupada mentions in the purport, generally when we go to a holy place, we go to take bath in a river, You go to Prayag, take a dip in Sangam, you go to any other place, take a dip in water, have darshan of the deity. But Prabhupada says here, the lesson here is, a holy yatra is successful only when you meet pure devotees there, serve them and hear from them. Without that, the yatra is not successful at all. So one has to, so Prabhupada says, if anyone visits a holy place, he must search out pure devotees residing there, take lessons from them, try to apply instructions, and gradually prepare to go back home, back to God. That's the purpose of a yatra, to gain inspiration from the sadhus. And then Prabhupada also mentions that, when people go to a holy place, why do they go? They go to get rid of their sin. Now you go to get rid of your sin. Where does the sin go to? It goes to the holy place. Now the holy place becomes, filled with sin. So how will the holy place get purified? When pure devotees come to that holy place, the holy place will get purified. That means more powerful than a holy place is a pure devotee. In this way, Vidura is being glorified by Yudhishthira Maharaj. So Prabhupada mentioned something very interesting. A pure devotee, what does it mean basically? That means where a pure devotee is, that's where a holy place is. That means a pure devotee, even if he's in America, he can make that place not a holy place. But an impure guy, he will go to Vrindavan and he will contaminate Vrindavan also. So this is the difference. A pure person can make an impure place into a pure place, and an impure guy can make a pure place into an impure place and come back. So in this way, Yudhishthira glorifies Vidura. Text 11. Apina suradastata Bandava Krishna Devata Drishta Shuta Va Yadava Swapuryam Sutam Astate. So Yudhishthira, after asking Vidura, which all places did you visit? How did you take care of yourself? He's asking, my dear uncle, you might have definitely visited Dwarka. Because when you go for a Tirth Yatra, you can't miss on Dwarka. You might have definitely gone to Dwarka. And why is Yudhishthira asking about Dwarka? Because Lord Krishna was personally present there. So here also you understand Yudhishthira's heart. Yudhishthira is like eager to hear something about Krishna. So you might have visited Dwarka. Please tell us how Krishna is, how the residents of Dwarkavasis are, how the Yadu people are. And you might have definitely seen them, heard from them. Are they living happily in their abodes? He wants to know about them. Because they are great devotees also, and they are also related to Yudhishthira in some way. So he wants to know about them. So Prabhupada mentions here, the most important word in this verse is Krishna Devata. Bandava Krishna Devata. So what does Krishna Devata mean? Whether it is Yadavas or Pandavas. Here, Pandavas, Yudhishthira is asking question about Yadavas. Whether it is Pandavas or Yadavas, they had one thing in common. What was that? Their attention was absorbed fully in Krishna. Krishna Devata. Yadavas are also continuously thinking of Krishna. In the presence of Krishna, the Pandavas also in separation of Krishna, they are thinking of Krishna. So Prabhupada mentions here, thus there is no difference between their pure qualities. Either remaining at home or leaving home, the real qualification of a pure devotee is wrapped in thought of Krishna. Vidura is out of palace, out of home, in his Tirth Yatra. Yudhishthira is still in the palace. But Prabhupada is saying, both of them are on the same level. Because Vidura out of palace is thinking of Krishna. Yudhishthira in the palace is thinking of Krishna. Griheta ko vaneta ko sada hari boleta ko. Whether you are in the house or in the forest, the principle is think always of Krishna. That's the idea. So, after Yudhishthira glorifies Vidura, expresses gratitude in asking Vidura, now Vidura begins to answer, explain everything related to whatever his experience was in the pilgrimage. Text 12. Iti ukto dharma rajena sarvam tat samarmanayat yatanubhutam karmasho vinayadu kulakshayam. So now Yudhishthira has questioned Vidura. What was the question? My dear Vidura, which all places you visited? How did you stay in those places? How did you serve? Whether you visited Dwarka, how are the people of Dwarka? Like that. So Mahatma Vidura, he answers everything. But one thing he doesn't answer. You know what? By this time, Lord Krishna also had winded up his Leela and Yadu dynasty was completely destroyed. But Vidura tells everything, but he doesn't tell this thing. He knew it. He knew it, but he doesn't tell. Why he doesn't tell? The next verse it is explained. Why Vidura doesn't tell? In this also there is sensitivity. Text 13. Nanav apriyam durvisaham drinam swayam upastitam navedayat sakurno dukhitam drashtum akshama. Vidura was so compassionate, he could not see the Pandavas distressed. He was thinking, these guys have already been distressed so much. If I give them the news now only that Krishna is gone, Krishna has ended his pastime, Yadu dynasty is destroyed. Yudhishthira is asking whether they are happy. Vidura is about to tell them they are all dead and gone. This will be too much to handle. He doesn't tell. Why? The logic is because unfavorable, unbearable incidences, their news comes in its own time. Without even time it will reach him. Why should I be the agent to tell? It will reach him when it comes. Right? So Vidura doesn't tell. So Prabhupada says this is Niti Shastra, that one should not speak unpalatable truth to cause distress to others. Right? When it comes little bit revealed, then why you have to unnecessarily, bring out that news. So therefore, he refrained from speaking it. Text 14. Kanchit kalam atavashe satkrito devavat sukham pratur jeshtasya shreyaskrit sarvesham sukham avaham. So thus Mahatma Vidura, he was treated like Devavat. He was treated like a Devata. So Prabhupada mentions here that, in the purport, that during Yudhishthira's rule, even demigods would come to meet King Yudhishthira. Right? We saw during the Rajasuya Yagya, when Yudhishthira did that, all the demigods come there. Narad Muni would spend a lot of time with Yudhishthira. We will see in the cantos ahead. When Narasimhadev pastime comes, it's basically Narada conversing with Yudhishthira Maharaj. So many people would come. So Vidura also was respected on the level of a Devavat, on the level of a demigod. Because Vidura is also a very, very great devotee. So Vidura, he was already a detached person. Why he was staying in Hastinapur at all? His only reason he stayed in Hastinapur was two things. One was to rectify the mentality of his elder brother, Dhritarashtra. And second is to give some happiness, spiritual satisfaction to the already distressed Pandavas. So Prabhupada mentions here that Vidura didn't come back to the palace to enjoy the comforts there. He was already he was almost like a sannyasi. He had no interest here. His only purpose was to preach and to deliver Dhritarashtra. That's it. That's what Prabhupada mentions here. Text 15. Abhibhar aryamadandam yatavad agukarishu yavadhadara shudratvam shapad varsha shatam yama. I told you the story already that Manduka Rishi cursed Yamaraj that you will go to earth as a Shudra for 100 years. So now the question is, if Yamaraj has to go to earth for 100 years, Yamaraj's role someone has to do, no? Because that seat you can't leave it vacant, hot seat. Someone has to fill that post immediately. So Aryama, he officiated that role. For that 100 years, Aryama was doing the role of Yamaraj. So through this also we understand that Yamaraj, Indra, these are all seats, these are all positions. Anyone can fill it, right? Anyone who is capable of sitting in that role can sit in there and do the job. So Prabhupada mentions in the purport the same thing that I was mentioning before. Prabhupada mentions here that Yamaraj was fed up of giving punishment to sinful guys, seeing these people's faces. Yamaraj was fed up. And Yamaraj was thinking, when will I get an opportunity to go and speak pure Krishna consciousness? So when Yamaraj got this curse, he was most happy. Most happy, like now I'm liberated from all this. Now I can just go and do what I actually want to do. So that's what Prabhupada mentions here. And so Prabhupada mentions here, this is the heart of Yamaraj. Yamaraj's basically heart is preaching Krishna consciousness. And we can see the same heart of Vidura in this particular chapter, how Vidura is so eager to deliver even of personalities like Dhritarashtra. And who is Aryama? So Prabhupada mentions Diti, Aditi, two wives of Kashyapa. From Aditi, Adityas are born, 12 Adityas. And one of the Adityas is Aryama. And he took charge for those 100 years. Text 16. Yudhishthiro labdharajyo drishtva potram kulandharam Bhratrapi lokapalabhe mumode paraya shriya. Having won his kingdom and observed the birth of one grandson competent to continue the noble tradition, Yudhishthir reigned peacefully and enjoyed uncommon opulence in cooperation with his younger brothers and expert administrators to the common people. So, Prabhupada mentions in the purport that Maharaj Yudhishthir, Pandavas, they were unhappy right from the beginning because there were too many problems, right? Too many problems, fights and politics and so many things. But it all had to be done. They didn't want to fight, but it had to be done. It had to be done as a matter of duty. And now, finally, after everything is over, Yudhishthir has become a king. But Yudhishthir is all the more happy that at least now we have one child in our family. That child was also supposed to be killed by Ashwatthama. Finally, that child is saved. So Yudhishthir, after a long time, he has felt some relief. Some relief that now there is a little peace. Right? Now there is a little peace. That's how Yudhishthir's life is explained here. Text 17. This is the power of time. Evam griheshu sattanam pramattanam tat ihaya atyakramad avigyata kalaha paramadustara. So from this verse on, the actual focus on the most important instructions for all of us. So these set of instructions are like real instructions if you want to wake up to the realities of life, right? Wake up from all our illusions. So here it says, those people who are too attached to family lives, evam griheshu sattanam. Griheshu matlab family life. Sattana matlab those who are too attached. Pramattana matlab madly attached. People in this world are just not attached. They are like madly attached to this world. For them, insurmountable time slowly eats them up. They don't even realize it. Time is eating everyone, but very imperceptibly. You understand the word imperceptibly? Imperceptibly means you can't even perceive it. But it's happening. Those who are intelligent like Vidura can see it. But the others can't see it. It's happening imperceptibly. So Prabhupada mentions in the purport, in today's world, people feel I'm happy now, everything is in order, my bank balance is quite enough, my children have a good estate, I'm successful, I can give charity, and all this. and we will see like I have everything in my control. These are some thoughts of those who are madly engrossed in this material world. But Prabhupada mentions here, our duration of life is measured and it cannot be enhanced even for 1 second beyond what is allotted to us. It's like measured. And then Prabhupada says, this is Chanakya's quote, that a moment lost, a second lost, even if you pay millions of dollars, you can't get that money back. So therefore, every second of human life should be meant to make that ultimate solution. And what is that ultimate solution? To get rid of the real problems of birth, old age, disease, death. That's what the human life is meant for. So such illusion, so people in this world, who does this shloka? See, if you see this shloka, text 16 speaks about whom? Text 16 speaks about King Yudhishthir, na? You see this? Text 16 speaks about Yudhishthir. How Yudhishthir, after finally everything was peaceful, happy. Now text 17 says, those grahasthas who are attached to this world, time is slowly eating them. So someone may think that, does this 17 refer to Yudhishthir? That his life is, Yudhishthir was such an attached grahastha that time is eating him, he's not even aware. Prabhupada says no. This verse doesn't apply to Yudhishthir. So you may say whom it applies to? Who it applies to, it comes in the next verse. Right? It applies to Dhritarashtra. This is the scene building for the next verse. So what Prabhupada says, someone like Yudhishthir Maharaj, he's already aware. He is already aware of the passing of time. And Yudhishthir is not attached to all this. Yudhishthir's full attachment is to Krishna. This verse is meant for you see the last sentence? Therefore, the instruction described in this verse cannot be applied to Yudhishthir, his brothers and mothers, because they were completely detached. It was meant for persons like Yudhishthir, like Dhritarashtra, for whom Vidura came to impart lessons. Text. I don't know, should I stop here? Text from 18, actually the real game starts. 18 to 28 is the cherished verses of Vidura chastising Dhritarashtra. I think we will just do one verse and then stop. So that you all get an idea and you all are there next week to listen to Vidura's discourse. Text 18. Vidurastad abhipretya Dhritarashtram abhasata Rajan nirgamyatam shigram Pashyedham BHAGAVATAM. Mahatma Vidura knew all this. What did he know? He knew that time is eating everyone's life. And he knew that Dhritarashtra has no time left. Hardly time left. So Mahatma Vidura, who is a Mahatma? A Mahatma is one who can see the passing of time. Who can see it very clearly. He tells Dhritarashtra, my dear king, please get out of here immediately. You don't give this advice to a king. But Vidura is sarcastically calling Dhritarashtra king, because this is what he wants to hear, king. So Vidura is telling him, who is the king? Ultimately, time is the king in this world. No one is a king. So he's telling, my dear king, please get out of here immediately. Do not delay. Just see how fear has already overtaken you. You're already so fearful. Just see this. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, cruel death does not care for anyone, be it Dhritarashtra or Yudhishthir. Death doesn't care for anyone. Therefore, this instruction is not only applicable to old Dhritarashtra, it's applicable even to the young Yudhishthir. So therefore, this set of instructions is not only for Dhritarashtra. You all saw that news that came out last week. Ponda, this young boy, Ketan Bhatikar.
Snake bite.
Snake bite. A good friend of ours actually. Very, very nice boy. I knew him right from his college days. And you just don't know what is going to happen, no guarantee. So therefore Prabhupada says here, this instruction is not only applicable for old Dhritarashtra, it applies even to the younger Yudhishthir. As a matter of fact, everyone in that palace was sitting and hearing that instruction. So this was just not Vidura Dhritarashtra Samvad. It's everyone sitting there and hearing, right? Everyone was raptly hearing these lectures. But it was known that this instruction was specifically meant for Dhritarashtra, who was too materialistic. What does the word Dhritarashtra mean? Rashtra means place, throne. Dhrita means determined to sit on that throne. Dhritarashtra was determined that he will never get out. So, therefore, he is addressing, Vidura is addressing him as Rajan in a very sarcastic way. So, Prabhupada mentions here that even though at the last stage of his life, Dhritarashtra has lost men, he's lost money, he's lost everything. Still, he is very attached to that word king. Right? So Maharaj Yudhishthira, as a matter of fact, is taking care of Dhritarashtra just because that's his nature. But Vidura is telling him that no one is a king here. So Prabhupada is saying here, everyone is a servant of eternal time, and therefore no one can be king in the material world. No one can be a king. Who is a king? A king means who has everything under control. And then Prabhupada says here, an celebrated English king ordered that time and tide, both of y'all should wait. But no one is going to follow your orders. You will just keep giving orders. So in this way, Vidura is telling Dhritarashtra very mercifully that please get out. Because already fear has come. Because when someone is pulled, you already see that symptoms coming. So Vidura is telling just get out. Don't be attached to the flimsy world. World will take care of itself. You please go and take care of your spiritual life. From text 19 on, which we will continue the next time, we will see more instructions of Vidura. This is just the first one itself is like a blow, and this is just the first one. As the verses go ahead, it gets more and more stronger. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anyone else, any questions, any comments? Yeah.
Vidura is Yamadai.
Yeah. Yudhishthira is also Yamaraj, yes, double Yamaraj. Yeah, so Mataji's question is, Vidura is also